Her teammates can't figure out and they just can't, like, oh my God, how did the ball end up here right in my hands? I couldn't envision that. I wasn't expecting that. I don't even know what to do with this. I want to show you, and these are just a handful. There's 3 or 4 other plays, passes, where it's just like they don't know what to do.
Honestly, this press release is terrible. This announcement is completely terrible. Let's be clear about that. This might actually be the worst of all the announcements. It's much more problematic than what the WNBA did. The WNBA was foolish for giving attention to an actual fake message from someone pretending to attend the match. They highlighted a prank message, which is humiliating. That's truly embarrassing, but this document seems to suggest Indiana isn't secure for games. We support the WNBA's examination of claims about supporter behavior during our season opener. We'll take every possible measure to safeguard Sky athletes.
So yeah, this statement is awful. This statement is absolutely awful. And I'm not gonna lie, this might be the worst of all the statements, and this is much worse than the WNBA. I think the WNBA were dumb platforming a literal fake tweet from someone who pretended to be at the game. They platformed a troll.
Not even mentioning the fever. The reality is they're saying they'll do everything possible to protect Sky athletes, not stating we know about these claims and we're cooperating with the WNBA to finish their examination. They basically declared they're defending their athletes and want the association to keep taking significant actions to establish a secure environment. This honestly reads. And I'm avoiding checking the responses because they're just racial comments. Some of the most outrageous statements you'll ever see. About 20% suggest banning Kate Clark. And honestly, if the WNBA truly wants to stop supporters from yelling, if they really want to prevent supporters from cheering for players, if they want to stop supporters from taunting, then remove Caitlin Clark from the association.
Tweet. It's bad enough as it is, which is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. I mean this. That is embarrassing, but this, maybe I'm wrong, but to me this reads like Indiana is not safe to play. We welcome the WNBA's investigation of allegations of fan misconduct during our first game of the season. We will do everything in our power to protect Sky players. Like, okay. Like, not, you know, like even, what was it, the fever? And the reality is like, cool, you're going to do everything they can to protect Sky players. And,
obviously that won't happen. It's absurd, but just remove her at this point. If they believe supporter taunting creates an unsafe environment, then they don't want supporters. Bring back the enclosed arena. Seriously, bring back the enclosed arena. The bubble for the WNBA. That's what they want. This message suggests Indiana isn't secure and they're basically saying, great, thanks. Investigate. We want to protect our athletes and ensure safety for everyone. Want to know how to make it secure for everyone? Remove Caitlin Clark. Seriously, remove Caitlin Clark. That's the only solution because that's the only way you can have your WNBA as your protected environment again, not a basketball association.
we are aware, not like even the fever ones. We are aware of allegations and we're working with the WNBA to complete their investigation. We stand firm in our commitment to making it safe. They basically said, we're going to protect our players and we encourage the league to continue taking meaningful steps to create a safe environment. This genuinely reads, and by the way, I'm not going to click on the quote tweets because it's just like some of the craziest things.
Actually, I listened to a podcast featuring Annie Costable, clearly the best WNBA reporter. She mentioned teams were contacting her saying she was harmful to the WNBA because she was covering it like a normal association. The Chicago newspaper hired her to be a sports reporter, and this exact organization, the Chicago Sky, said the newspaper hired her to report on this like she would report on the Bulls, so she was reporting everything about the team. Good, bad, everything. And apparently this organization claimed she was harmful to the WNBA. Why? Because the Chicago Sky lost their entire roster, their entire championship group. They all departed and she was essentially saying the Sky is struggling. They're struggling and they called her harmful to the WNBA for not being a supporter. They were upset other teams weren't getting proper coverage and didn't want any negative attention around them.
Some of the craziest things you will ever read, like some of the stuff that I don't understand. Like, I understand how it's on Twitter because it's Twitter, you can say whatever you want, but like, it is like 20% of them are saying to ban Caitlin Clark. And I mean this. I genuinely mean this. The WNBA, if you actually want to stop fans cheering, if you actually want to stop fans cheering for
This is the organization that called a reporter covering a sport harmful to the WNBA. Consider that. If these teams and athletes want their exclusive group again, remove Caitlin Clark. Simple. But no, you'll never earn 6 figures annually again. You'll be flying commercial forever. Not only remove Caitlin Clark, remove Sabrina, remove Kelsey Plum, remove Paige Beckers. Actually, no. Paige Beckers can stay because somehow Paige and Caitlin say and do identical things. Clearly, they've said and done identical things. One has done an incredible job promoting their teammates of all backgrounds, and the other is Paige Beckers.
for players, if you want to stop fans heckling, then ban Caitlin Clark from the league. And I genuinely mean that. Obviously, look, it's not going to happen. It's not something crazy. But just ban her from the league. At this stage, ban Caitlin Clark from the league. Because if that is what they want, if they believe that fans heckling is creating an unsafe environment, then you don't want fans. Bring back the wobble. Bring back the wobble. Bring back the wobble. I mean that. Bring back the wobble.
So Paige Beckers is acceptable, but remove all of them. Remove Liami Phoebish too. Remove Alana Smith. She's Australian. Remove Akemekani. She's taking American positions. She's from Cameroon. Remove Dominique Malonga. She took attention from Paige Beckers during the draft. Remove her. Remove all these talented athletes if they want their exclusive group again. Remove all these talented athletes if they want to destroy the association. Please destroy the association. Destroy the association if you want. And remember, this is an organization that told a reporter they were harmful to the WNBA because they reported on the organization. This organization did that.
Guys, I don't know what the wobble is. It was the bubble for the WNBA. If that's what we want. But for me, this reads like this reads like they're saying Indiana's not safe. And it reads like they're saying, you know what, great. Thank you, investigate. We want to protect our players and make sure it's safe for everybody. Do you want to know how we can make sure it's safe for everybody?
The Chicago team needs to release a statement. You must release a statement ultimately. But this statement basically reads like, we're protecting our athletes from those terrible Indiana supporters, and the WNBA needs to make everything secure from those Indiana supporters. Taunting supporters are everywhere. Caitlin Clark got taunted in Connecticut. We witnessed that last season. Caitlin Clark got taunted by the New York Liberty. The problem is, every game is basically a home game for the Indiana Fever, so that doesn't happen. This is a concerning quote. Some of these messages are concerning. This one's concerning. There are statements you can make in this situation. And A'ja Wilson being dramatic and reposting the message. A'ja Wilson literally stated, I felt threatened in Indiana. And basically said nothing happened. The city's fine, nothing happened. But I just felt something would happen. She was afraid something might happen, so she doesn't want to play in Indiana again. She's afraid something may happen. Why? All those young girls in the crowd.
Like, they ban Caitlin Clark. Ban Caitlin Clark. Genuinely, ban Caitlin Clark. And that's the only way you can do it. Because the only way that you can have your WNBA as your safe space again, not a basketball league, a safe space. And by the way, like, I'm going to make a video on it tomorrow. I actually listened to I listened to a podcast, and it was Annie Costable. Annie Costable, who obviously was the best WNBA journalist, she was literally saying that teams were contacting her saying she was bad for the WNBA because she was reporting on it like it was a normal league. The Chicago Sun-Times were like, we are hiring you to...
It's shameful for the Sky. It's shameful for the association. And again, this is an organization that told reporters they were harmful to the WNBA for saying something negative. They want to establish a secure environment? No, they want a protected space. They want a protected space where these athletes can play in front of 800 supporters again and complain about not earning more money and not earn more money. And they can chat in their groups and have that supporter who's A'ja Wilson's friend saying whatever they want to say.
Be a sports journalist. And it's this, by the way, it's this organization as well. It is this organization as well, the Chicago Sky. basically said the Chicago Sun-Times hired her and said, report on this like you would report on the Bulls. So she was reporting on the team, the good, the bad, everything. She was reporting on everything. On everything. Like, and supposedly this organization said that she was bad for the WNBA. Why? Because the Chicago Sky lost their whole team, their whole championship core. They all left. And she was basically saying the Sky's in a bad spot. They're in a bad spot.
I must question this situation. Wasn't Angel R committed to success this season? I recall her mother, also named Angel, quite puzzling, was supposed to handle responses to critics, so her daughter could focus on winning games that hardly matter. From the viewpoint of someone seeking spotlight, this approach makes some sense. Angel R hasn't kept audience interest through provocative social media posts to her shrinking base of male followers. Her podcast with minimal viewership has failed to maintain attention. She threatened to boycott games unless the league met her salary demands. Considering she earns about $80,000 annually, which seems excessive for her contribution.
And they called her bad for the WNBA for, not being a stand. They were like, well, they were annoyed that other teams weren't getting reported on properly and they didn't want any negativity around them. This is the organization that have called a journalist reporting on a sport bad for the WNBA. Let's just take that into account. If these teams and these players want their club again, ban Caitlin Clark. Simple. Ban Caitlin Clark. But just know, you're never going to make six figures a year again.
With these failed attempts at gaining recognition, perhaps Angel believed winning games would satisfy her need for validation. The issue is that she isn't a game changer. She resembles Derek C., known to New Orleans locals as Donnie. Like him, Angel has impressive statistics on paper. Yesterday, she secured another meaningless double-double, 17 rebounds and 12 inconsequential points. She even accomplished what many thought impossible, making several undefended layups. Her offseason practice is showing results. She'll become the biggest name in the league. Great. Despite Angel's performance, Chicago lost by 36 points. This margin equals the number of friends and relatives watching yesterday's game. The 17,000 in the venue and possibly 1 to 3 million at home were there to see Caitlin C., which Angel understands. This explains her continued attention-seeking behavior throughout the match. Similar to Donnie C., Angel R relies on dramatics for attention because, like him, her skills alone cannot sustain interest.
With Caitlin Clark, because she can see things that they can't see, and that ball is showing up in their hands in places they weren't expecting, and they don't know what to do with it. Play a little compilation of blown Caitlin Clark passes.
Goes back to Allen. Nice look from Clark, and Wallace can't finish the lay. They look for one another. Here's Clark shoveling. Boston waits. Can't finish. Three defender. Clark bounces ahead. Oh, what a pass! Mitchell unable to finish. 3 seconds left in the half. The flick ahead from Clark. And again, Kelsey Mitchell just having trouble catching the ball.
This behavior started immediately when Angel Reese and Chicago decided to disrespect the nation by not appearing for the anthem. Remember to support this channel. According to a sports commentator, Chicago refused to come out for the anthem yesterday. Just moments earlier, they were on court for warm-ups. NBA warm-ups involve players taking uncontested shots, with most being perfect. WNBA warm-ups are essentially exercise for the assistants. Shots go everywhere except the rim, landing in the front row or at the scorer's table. Young spectators might mistake this for dodgeball. After these exercises ended, it was anthem time. Instead of staying on court, Chicago wasted needed energy by retreating to the back to avoid the anthem. Perhaps that's why they were defeated so badly. They exhausted themselves running off court to avoid that emotionally challenging song. Upon returning, they had reached their daily step limit with no energy left for the game. By mid-third quarter, the contest was effectively over with Chicago trailing by 4. But that's not an overwhelming deficit, right? NBA teams can erase 14 points in minutes. Yes, but NBA players can actually make shots. A 14-point deficit in women's basketball, especially for Angel R's team, equals a 40-point NBA deficit with under a minute remaining.
Kelsey Mitchell's running and just like, oh, there's no way I'm going to get this pass. And it shows up and she doesn't know what to do. She's flummoxed. Turnover on Caitlin Clark. There was a little white girl, maybe Samuelson. It's on the possession maybe where Aaliyah Boston hit the three-point shot.
Midway through the third, with the game practically decided, Chicago had possession. Angel Reese received the ball in the post with a clear path for an easy basket. For unknown reasons, Caitlin C decided to foul. This was an unusual lapse from Caitlin C. She could have simply allowed Angel Reese to attempt the open layup. The ball would likely have missed completely or landed in some unfortunate child's lap. Either way, Indiana would gain possession, but Caitlin C chose to foul Angel. Perhaps she was trying to help, preventing Angel Reese from embarrassing herself again on national television. The problem was that Angel Reese didn't appreciate the gesture. She immediately became angry, unable to believe Caitlin C had stolen her moment. Angel Reese rose slowly because everyone seems to move in slow motion in this league. She approached Caitlin C ready for confrontation.
I can't remember, but Caitlin Clark passed the ball to Samuelson or Wallace or one of the little white girls on the wing at the end of the game. And the little white girl tried to shoot a reverse layup, and it was terrible. But it's like there's a panic that sets in. Oh, Caitlin's passed me the ball. I got to do something.
The best part, Caitlin Clark anticipated exactly how Angel Reese would respond. She knew Angel Reese would lose composure and create drama. Caitlin Clark walked away as if Angel Reese was insignificant. She wouldn't fuel the situation or give Angel Reese desired attention. Caitlin Clark wouldn't engage. She dismissed Angel Reese completely. Caitlin Clark received a flagrant foul, which seemed ridiculous. Worse still, the network commentators were practically begging officials to penalize Caitlin C. This represents privilege. The white player is supposedly oppressing our innocent Angel. Watching this live yesterday afternoon perfectly illustrated the difference between these players. One needs dramatics and controversy while the other simply wants to play basketball. Beyond Caitlin Clark, however, the rest of the league needs controversy too. To be transparent, I dislike this league and always have. I only watch because viewers seem to enjoy commentary about it. Otherwise, spending a Saturday afternoon watching Indiana versus Chicago would be wasteful.
When maybe all you need to do is pull back and look for Caitlin to see if she can get a pull-up three. That's Kelsey Mitchell, got that long bounce pass. No way she can make that reverse layup. Just dribble it back out to the three-point line.
Nevertheless, I tried approaching yesterday's game with fairness. I attempted to be unbiased. Arriving home later yesterday afternoon, I missed the first game between unknown teams. The television was on when I entered, and I heard someone speaking. Initially, I thought Samuel L. Jackson was being interviewed based on the deep voice from the speakers. But turning into the living room, I saw the network was interviewing Natasha. I managed to watch all 4 quarters of Caitlin C's game. Credit given Caitlin Clark is exciting to watch. I also appreciated the nice gesture of Indiana trying to help Wanda B, or DeWanda B, whatever her name is, score points to advance on the all-time list. They needed something to make the game interesting, because apart from the incident Angel Reese tried to start, the game was terribly dull. My spouse loves basketball and watches the NBA regularly, but rarely follows football. She doesn't miss regular season games. By halftime yesterday, she was asking to watch something else. I explained I needed to finish the game, but she couldn't continue watching. I understood completely. Countless times I watched Caitlin Clark make beautiful transition passes only for teammates to fumble the ball out of bounds. Airballed three-pointers, missed layups everywhere. Look at this. This is how Angel Reese handles the ball up court. It resembles my young nephew's dribbling. No control, no smoothness. Absolute disaster.
Set it up for, wait for the rest of your teammates, but they're all trying to do too much because Caitlin Clark can do so much. They're trying to do too much because Caitlin Clark can do so much. She can spot them, hit them with passes that they're just not ready. This one right here, the long bounce, just dribble it out to the three-point line. You can't do that. I know Caitlin's dropped you that dime, but it's just too much. They got to get Kelsey Mitchell off the team.
I recognize it was the season opener, and I'm trying hard not to be overly critical. I'm attempting to give the league a chance because I feel obligated to viewers who enjoy this commentary. But it's challenging. This is why I maintain that this league needs dramatics and controversy. Yesterday's game was only interesting because of the dynamic between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. As mentioned before, Angel Reese risks being overshadowed, and she realizes this. Media has celebrated Page B all weekend. Remember last month during the draft when media claimed tickets were selling out in Dallas? Friday night, Dallas opened their season at home with empty seats everywhere. 1,000 tickets remained available in a venue seating only 7,000. This illustrates my point. Beyond Caitlin Clark, the basketball itself isn't enough. Paige B entered the league with substantial mainstream exposure yet couldn't sell out her home opener, and the situation will likely worsen. I wasn't impressed by yesterday's display. Perhaps teams were rusty. Maybe chemistry will develop as the season progresses. But this represents the same problem the league has faced for 3 decades. The product simply isn't good enough. You need storylines and dramatics. Even the NBA benefits from storylines and rivalries with the world's best players, so criticizing the women's league for needing the same isn't necessarily unfair. The difference? In the NBA, rivalries and storylines are supplementary. In the women's league, they're essential.